Good evening and welcome to the Grandview Resident Information Session. Moving on to the next slide. Before we begin, Stockland would like to take a moment to acknowledge the traditional custodians on the land on which we individually join tonight. In particular, we would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people and the Bunurong people, the traditional custodians on the land on which Grandview is located, and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples joining us this evening. My name is Stephanie Alisich, and I am part of the Stockland Grandview team. Let's move to the next slide, please, Tan. Firstly, thank you to everyone who has submitted questions ahead of tonight's session. Your participation is greatly appreciated, and we've done our best to group and address as many of your questions as possible. This evening, we'll be focusing on several key topics. Jessica Fasson, Assistant Development Manager, will start by providing an update on the local convenience centre, parks and open spaces, schools and childcare, and road infrastructure. Following Jess's update, Jackie Kent, Development Director, will provide an update on amenity within the broader precinct and state significant infrastructure. Throughout tonight's session, feel free to submit additional questions via Menti. And on the next slide, you can simply scan the QR code on screen or visit menti.com and enter the code displayed. You can also find this link in the chat section of this Teams call. We'll do our best to address as many of your questions as we can. It is important to note that the delivery of certain infrastructure and amenity depends on funding and approvals from various authorities, including state government, local council, and in some instances, other landowners and developers. The complex nature of the development process, influenced by factors outside of Stockland's control, limits our ability to provide precise timelines, and in some cases, any timelines at all. However, we remain committed to transparency and will continue to update you as new information becomes available. I'll now hand over to Jess for an update on the local convenience centre, parks and open spaces, schools and childcare, and road infrastructure.
Welcome everyone. We're excited to begin tonight's session with an update on the proposed local convenience centre within Grandview. Wright Property Group, the owner and developer of the proposed Grandview Local Convenience Centre, has partnered with UXD Group, a local Melbourne-based architect, to design the future centre. Next slide, please. Recently, Wright Property Group has submitted a planning permit application for the centre, which is currently under review by Melton City Council. If approved, the centre will offer a range of food options, health and wellness services, and specialty stores. Pending the necessary council and authority approvals, Wright Property Group aims to begin construction in 2025. We'll continue to provide regular updates as more information becomes available. Moving across to the next slide, we'll share an update on the green spaces that are shaping the future of Grandview. Over the next slide, we'll touch on Highline Park. So last November, we celebrated the opening of Highline Park with a launch event attended by over 200 residents who enjoyed Grandview's newest open space. In addition to this, earlier this year, we were thrilled to welcome Australian tennis icon and two-time Grand Slam champion, Leighton Hewitt, who unveiled the 22-metre mural hit-up wall within Highline Park. Over to the next slide, we'll touch on the Southern Wetlands, where civil works are progressing well. The wetlands are located in the southwestern corner of the community and is bordered by Craycroft Road, Ararat Street and Novato Drive. On screen, we've got an artist's impression of what these wetlands are envisioned to look like when the plants and trees reach maturity. We're on track to complete civil works by the year end, with landscaping works to follow. So all things going to plan, these wetlands are anticipated to open to the community in early 2026. Moving across to the next slide, we'll touch on the proposed Grandview playing fields. So under the planning framework for this precinct, the Mount Atkinson and Tarneet Plains Precinct Structure Plan, also known as the PSP, Melton City Council is responsible for the delivery of the proposed playing fields within Grandview, which is also known as the Mount Atkinson West Sports Reserve. Currently, this proposed project is stipulated in the PSP as a medium-term project. Recent communication from Council has indicated that this proposed reserve is planned to be delivered by Council in 2032 to 2035. Moving across to the next slide, the proposed Mount Atkinson Conservation Reserve. The Mount Atkinson Conservation Reserve will serve as the heart of both the Grandview and Mount Atkinson communities. Envisioned as a 50+ hectare conservation reserve, this reserve will celebrate the area's rich and natural cultural heritage. Stockland, in collaboration with Melton City Council and the traditional landowners, aims to create a unique space that honours the deep connection that the traditional owners have had with this land for thousands of years. This project is currently in the early design phase, and we are engaging with key stakeholders to ensure this reserve reflects the cultural significance and natural beauty of the area. The majority of the reserve is expected to retain its current natural state, preserving its ecological integrity, while in other areas, development will occur in stages where appropriate, with initial landscaping works anticipated between 2026 and 2028. However, timelines may evolve as planning continues. In addition to this, Melton City Council will take the lead on delivering the proposed playing fields, which are situated at the top end of the reserve. We're excited to work together to bring this vision to life, and we'll keep you informed as planning progresses. Moving along to the next slide. As for other green space within the community, we've got the Conservation Reserve. So this native grassland conservation reserve is located at the southern end of the community, which will retain its current natural state, preserving the ecological integrity of this protected native grassland. We're also working to bring more green space to the community with the installation of trees and nature strips throughout some of our newest stages over the next few months, including along Grand Boulevard and stages 3B, 3C, 16, 12 and 13. Over to the next slide. Now we'll provide an update on the proposed government primary school and the future childcare centre within Grandview. Starting with the proposed government primary school, also referred to as the Mount Atkinson West Primary School as an interim name. Although the land for this proposed primary school is available and ready for development, the state government was unable to allocate funding for its acquisition and construction in the 2024 to 25 state budget. However, we'll continue to advocate for the allocation of funding towards the Mount Atkinson West Government Primary School in the future government budgets. In the meantime, the state government is progressing the Tarneet Plains Primary School, also as an interim name, which is located in Mount Atkinson, which is anticipated to open in 2026. As for the future Grandview Childcare Centre, we're pleased to provide an update on the progress of the future childcare centre within Grandview, which will be located at the corner of Altese Drive and Chule Drive. With planning approval granted by Melton City Council, we can confirm that Stockland will lead the development of the future centre, with construction set to begin in 2025. The childcare centre is anticipated to open between 2026 and 2027, although this timeline may be subject to change. Moving on to the next slide, we'll touch on road infrastructure. So Stockland continues to prioritise the road infrastructure within our control. Over the past 6 months, we've been actively designing and building roads, starting with Grand Boulevard. We were pleased to recently open the 1.7 kilometre stretch of Grand Boulevard, linking the Grandview and Mount Atkinson communities between Altese Drive and Clara Avenue. The road is currently open under temporary traffic management conditions while we work with Council and the relevant authorities to finalise electrical connections and activate the traffic signals. We've been informed by Powercall, the electrical authority, that the power will be connected to Grand Boulevard by the end of this month. And once this is completed, we'll be coordinating with the Department of Planning and Transport, who will handle the testing and activation of the traffic signals. All things going to plan, we anticipate that traffic signals will be fully operational in November. Next slide, please. We're also excited to share that Stockland has recently received initial functional design approval for the future Kirkpatrick Boulevard and the Mount Atkinson Road intersection, which will connect Highline Boulevard and Kirkpatrick Boulevard. Subject to approvals, construction on this signalised intersection and the connection of Highline Boulevard and Kirkpatrick Boulevard is expected to commence next year, with this intersection anticipated to open between 2026 and 2027. I'd like to now hand over to Jackie, who will provide an update on the amenity within the border precinct and state significant infrastructure. Over to you, Jackie.
Thanks, Jess. I'd like to begin by providing an update on future amenity located within the broader Mount Atkinson precinct. Firstly, I'd like to provide an update on the future Mount Atkinson Town Centre. We've received a number of questions about the future Mount Atkinson Town Centre. First, please let me reassure you that we understand how important the future Mount Atkinson Town Centre is to the community. Although Stockland isn't the developer of the town centre or the owner of the town centre land, we are committed to keeping you informed. Last month, Stockland was advised by the town centre landowner that the town centre developer had chosen to terminate its agreement to be the development manager for the town centre. We have been advised that significant progress has already been made on the Urban Design Framework, also known as UDF, for the town centre. The landowner holds the rights to the work completed so far and is working towards finalising and submitting the UDF to Council next month. The landowner has expressed their commitment to realising the vision for the Mount Atkinson Town Centre in line with the prepared UDF. Their focus is to commence stage 1 of the town centre as soon as possible, following the necessary approvals from Council and authorities. Stage 1 of the town centre is envisaged to deliver approximately 8,000 square metres of retail space, including a major supermarket and specialty stores, consistent with what was proposed by the previous town centre developer. The landowner has advised that their priority is to get stage 1 of the town centre on the ground and open for trading as soon as possible, with construction anticipated to start in 2025, subject to approvals from Council and authorities, to enable the centre to open in 2027, subject to any unforeseen delays. Stockland is committed to working closely with all stakeholders to support the planning and stage delivery of the Mount Atkinson Town Centre wherever possible. Jumping on to the next slide, the proposed Mount Atkinson Private Secondary School. The land designated for the proposed Mount Atkinson Private Secondary School is not owned by Stockland. Furthermore, this site is within a future development area that requires planning permit approval. As a result, the anticipated opening date for the proposed Mount Atkinson Private Secondary School remains uncertain at this point in time. Jumping on to the next slide. We would now like to move on to the next section of this evening's session, where we'd like to take the opportunity to provide an update on state significant infrastructure that is both planned and currently underway within the broader precinct. Starting with the Hopkins Road level crossing removal. The level crossing removal project is progressing really well, with the state government recently releasing final designs for this new bridge crossing of the railway line, and confirming that construction is set to begin later this year. This state government initiative is expected to improve traffic flows in the area, and the Victorian Government has indicated a proposed completion date of 2026. Moving on to the next slide, the proposed duplication of Hopkins Road. Hopkins Road is the responsibility of the state government, and all associated upgrade works are subject to future government funding. Recently, the state government has made a commitment of $11 million through Growth Area Infrastructure Contributions, also known as GAIC, for a new shared path along Hopkins Road between Grand Boulevard and Sheehan Road. The proposed duplication of Hopkins Road has been identified by the state government as a long-term project, subject to future government budget approvals. Moving on to the next slide, the future public bus service within Grandview. We understand the critical role that public transport plays in creating connected and accessible communities. To support this, Stockland has developed a bus-capable road network throughout Grandview, including along Altese Drive and Grand Boulevard. This network is ready for a public bus service with proposed routes identified by Melton City Council as part of their Moving Melton initiative. However, this public bus service is currently awaiting state government funding. Like many of you, we were disappointed that funding for a public bus service was not allocated in the May 2024 state budget. In the meantime, Stockland has partnered with Edmund Rice Community Services and the Caroline Springs RSL to provide a private community bus service. This service, which is funded by Stockland, aims to assist residents with essential transport needs while we await state government funding for a public bus service. Additionally, we are pleased to share that the state government has recently announced 4 new school bus services that will serve both the Grandview and Mount Atkinson communities starting term 1 of next year. We will keep you informed as more details about these services becomes available. Moving on to the next slide, the proposed train station. On to the next slide. Thank you. The proposed train station within the broader Mount Atkinson precinct is subject to future government budgets. At this stage, the proposed train station remains a long-term project subject to future government budget approvals. I'd now like to take the opportunity to invite Steph back to guide us through Q&A.
Thank you to everyone who has submitted a question during this evening's information session. We've been collating questions submitted during this evening's session, and similar to the pre-submitted questions, we will address these topics broadly and will not read out individual questions verbatim. Let's get started with the first question. And thank you, Jackie, for staying on screen as you answer these questions. Jackie, we received several questions regarding the Stockland funded free community bus and suggestions on changes to this service. Could you please confirm if there are any planned changes to this community bus service?
At this stage, there are no planned changes to the current community bus schedule. The service will continue to run 3 times each morning and afternoon on weekdays. We do, however, acknowledge concerns regarding the booking system, and we are working with our partners, Edmund Rice Services and the Caroline Springs RSL, to explore ways to improve the booking process. If any updates occur, we'll keep you posted.
Thanks, Jackie. We've also received a question in relation to the design of Grand Boulevard and why it is currently single lane road. Could you clarify why Grand Boulevard has been constructed with only one lane in each direction?
Grand Boulevard has been designed and constructed in line with the Mount Atkinson and Tarneit Plains precinct structure plan, the overarching planning framework for this precinct. At this stage, it has been built to an interim standard in accordance with the precinct structure plan, with a single road lane in each direction. However, the road has been carefully future-proofed to accommodate potential expansion in the future. Land has been set aside to allow for the future duplication of Grand Boulevard, ensuring that it can be widened as the region continues to grow. Additionally, the signalised intersections along Grand Boulevard have been designed and constructed with this potential future duplication in mind.
Thanks for those insights, Jackie. We've also received a query asking if Stockland can install traffic calming measures along Altese Drive. Could you speak to that?
Not a problem, Steph. In accordance with the planning framework, similar to Grand Boulevard, Altese Drive has been designated as a connector road. What does that mean? A connector road is designed to facilitate local traffic only. To enhance safety and promote calm driving conditions, we have installed 3 roundabouts along with a raised pavement crossing near the intersection of Altese Drive and Altar Street. Altese Drive has now been officially handed over to Council, which means that any future changes to Altese Drive will be the responsibility of Melton City Council. Additionally, Stockland is currently exploring the installation of signage along Altese Drive and Highline Boulevard to encourage road users to drive safely within the community.
Thanks, Jackie. Another question that we've received is regarding what maintenance initiatives Stockland is undertaking in the project, including management of overgrown grass.
So to clarify, Stockland is responsible for the installation and establishment maintenance of nature strips until they are officially handed over to Council. That being said, to ensure our community maintains its visual appeal, it is important that each resident takes care of the nature strip that directly interfaces with their home. Once settlement occurs, every owner is responsible for the maintenance of their own home site, which includes managing any grass growth that occurs before and during construction of your new home. During the warmer months, Stockland implements a proactive maintenance plan, which includes slashing of grass throughout areas of the community under Stockland's control. Additionally, it's important to note that some areas of Grandview are home to protected native grasslands. To support the preservation of these areas, any work undertaken near or within these areas must be undertaken in accordance with the Conservation Management Plan.
Thank you so much, Jackie. And that concludes the questions that we've been receiving from our community. It also brings us to a close of our information session this evening. In closing, we extend our heartfelt thanks to all who have joined us this evening and your ongoing passion for the community. We're striving to create a place for you to be proud of, and your continued support is valued. We look forward to welcoming you to some of our upcoming events like Diwali and Christmas soon, so make sure you're keeping an eye on your inbox as you receive your invitations. Should you have any further questions or wish to share feedback, please contact our customer care team via customercareteam@stockland.com.au. Thank you again for joining us, and we wish you a pleasant evening.